I'm going to start questioning it. That's just me, because I just don't understand if all your friends look just like you in your cookie cutter world, are you truly an ally?
That is true. I do agree with that. But then I think on the flip side of that, if someone looked at my Facebook, it's mainly Black people, and my core group of friends that I hang out with, they're all Black. And it,
I mean,
but
and
it,
also geographic too. Like if they're not in a space where there are a lot of Black people, but maybe they have parents who had different experiences, and they grew up in a household that was continually culturally accepting, and they weren't fed privilege every single day, but they just live in a geographic space where there aren't a lot of Black people.
yeah. And then if I go on your
Maybe
page
I know
and you
different white
support
people.
that man, then that's when that's when I really have questions. But we're not going to get into that today.
I mean, yeah, if you look at mine, it's all Black, but that's because I had to delete a whole bunch. And when I went on their page, I was their only Black friend.
Now, you know what? That is true. It did not start off that way. I lost people over the years. Every time a new thing happened, I had to delete somebody because they show up and they show out and not here.
And I gotta show my ass.
Yeah, I don't want that. That is true. And I think that you both hit a lot of the key elements on the head. And even though, of course, there's no guide, user manual to allyship, there were a few things that I've read that I thought that were interesting in terms of do's and don'ts. So I just wanted to go over those really quick. So it talked about do be open to listening, which I think we all discussed that. You can't be a full cup. If you're trying to be an ally to a group of people, you have to be willing to be open to listening to what they're saying without just trying to solve. We're not asking you to solve for X. We are not a math equation. That's not what's happening here. And I think the more that we can get people to actually just sit back and listen to what we're talking about, that will truly be helpful. Beware of implicit bias. We talk about that all the time. Research to learn more about the history of the struggle in which you are participating. Okay, so to me, that means stop telling us that white privilege is not a thing. It is a thing. And I think before you can denounce something, you have to understand what it means. I think that words mean things. And sometimes because things, they pack a punch, you just feel like, oh, white privilege means that we're attacking you. It is not an attack. I think it's also kind of like when they say defund the police, people don't know what that means. So because defund sounds negative to them, they automatically are on the defensive. Mm-hmm. But I think if you can better understand what we mean by white privilege, if you're a reasonable person, you know that you have some level of privilege based on what we're telling you. And I'm not going to go through all of these because we'll drop the link in the description like we always do. But some of the don'ts: don't expect to be taught or shown. I think Toya hits on that all the time. We're not your teachers. And This is not a handbook that we can just give you on what we need you to do as an ally. We kind of need you to take the reins. This is your project. This is not our project, and it's not a group project. It is for you to take back to your group of friends and figure out how you can be a better ally. Do not behave as if you know best. Please don't. Don't tell Black people how to fix Black issues. You can't do that. Nor did we ever ask you to.
Right.
I think that is hella important because no one needs a white savior. This is not Criminal Minds, and we are not Coolio. We don't need that. Okay. So I think that we definitely know what we expect from people who want to show up as allies for us. My next question is, how do we, and I guess do we, show up as allies for other people? Are there ways that you guys proactively try to support other marginalized groups of people, either in your community, at work? Like, how do you show up for those sorts of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think as much as I say I don't like people, and y'all know that, I do, in a sense, like hidden away from everyone to see. I feel like that no matter what, and I know, people say, oh, I don't see color. I try not to. I mean, I'm going to describe you as that person, such and such person, just to make it easier. But I think that I'm open. I come into every situation with an open mind, whether you're black, white, purple, gay, straight, whatever. I think that just because knowing how it feels to be discriminated against, or, having that judgment placed on you prior to, you always have to go into an open mind. But I mean, I'm a part of a lot of different, business resource groups at work. I mean, even at my previous location, I would love going to like the Pride events because they have fun. And I like having fun and just learning about things on how to completely understand the things that they're going on, because everybody's going to have a friend or a cousin or a family member, something like that, that can kind of relate to that group. And if I can go back more understanding of it, I think that's for the better. So, I mean, I try. I mean, sometimes it's hard, but I mean, it's just, it requires an open mind. That's all it is. Like I said before, humbling and just being quiet. Sometimes you learn a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to be open to it, but we all do have our own implicit bias, and sometimes, we say other things about other races, but we never take it as us being racist, right? We're just like, that's how you describe them.
We're like, we're just kidding. That's
right. It takes, being exposed to different groups and being open, as Jen said, to, put yourself in a space where it's just like, okay, I know what it's like to feel like an outsider, and I wouldn't want anyone else to feel that way. Mm-hmm. I think our generation, we do a pretty good job at trying to expose ourselves and expose our children to different cultures, and just so it's more fluid and it's more natural, it isn't a space where you have to constantly learn something new or learn not to say that in public or around company or whatever, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think oftentimes when we're having conversations, I fall into the devil's advocate space, because I try to think about some of the things we do as Black people and the things we say, not out of ignorance, but just out of habit from learning it. So I know that that's a lot of what goes into other cultures. So when we zoom out and we realize that, sometimes people just don't know, or sometimes we really just don't know, and put ourselves in a space to become closer with people or just educated more, it makes it easier.
I do agree with that. I think that I definitely try to remain open to things that maybe I am ignorant of. I don't know everything, and I don't know what it is like to live as anyone besides a Black woman. That's it. Mm-hmm. I can't speak for how anyone else lives. And sometimes you feel like the things that you deal with are greater than mm-hmm. anything else that anyone else on this planet could possibly be dealing with. And I think that that's where maybe we have to check ourselves. Like, yes, we do have struggles that no one else will ever understand and no one else will ever have to deal with. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to diminish the plight of others. Mm-hmm. And I think for me too, I honestly don't care about what a lot of other people are doing. And I think that that's where some groups of people, they just meddle. They meddle in people's lives. Oh. And that's mm-hmm. why it's so oppressive. Why do you care about gay marriage? Are you in a gay marriage? If you're not, if you don't like gay marriage, then don't get gay married. It just doesn't make sense. And to me, I feel like other people having rights don't take away from my rights.
Exactly.
So, there are enough rights to go on.
Exactly.
I really think that group that we're not going to say, but we know what it is, they have a gene or something that just makes them nosy as fuck.
It's just ridiculous.
Everything affects them.
Everything affects them. Business. They weren't told enough to mind their business as kids. Mind the business that pays you. That's it.
Up yonder on a Caucasus Mountain.
It's just too much. So I feel like I definitely try to make sure that I am not infringing on anyone else's rights, because I don't want anyone infringing on mine, but also to try to educate myself. And at work, I do try to get involved. Like this whole Of course, there's different business resource groups. We have it for Black people, Asians, vets. I try to make a conscious effort to go to other events at times so that I can see, okay, well, y'all are talking about individuals with disabilities. Why can't I go to that to hear about those sorts of things? And I think that that's the best way, because that way you're getting the firsthand accounts from people who are actually experiencing it. It's one thing to see it on TV and to hear an expert talk about blah, blah, blah. But it's another these are people that you see, you work with. And to hear them talk about their own struggles is, I think, the best way to really be an ally and to get involved. And I think often you hear that they have the same struggles that we have.
Similar struggles.
Right.
They have similar struggles. And every once in a while you're like, dang, I don't even have to deal with that. So I think that there are a lot of little nuances that go into it that you don't think of. And not to take us down a side path, but one time we were talking about, how sometimes you'll reply back in an email and you'll be like, see my response in red, right? That's a simple thing people do all the time. What about somebody who's colorblind?
Yeah.
That's still a thing you don't think about, but that doesn't impact my life. I would never, something just so simple, you would never stop to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we all just sometimes took a step back and to hear things like that about other people, maybe we would probably be a lot better off. We would be more susceptible to moving forward and to being better allies.
That's absolutely true, because even I've never even thought about that, but even the other day I was going through the ad, and I never thought about Uno came out with cards with Braille on it, and I stopped thinking damn, they can't play Uno, somebody who's blind. It's just little things that we take for, I guess we can say we take for granted, that others don't have the luxury and the ability to do. So I absolutely agree with that. And sometimes it takes, going to those different events, or even just having somebody in your life just for a brief second or season to kind of open your eyes to things. It's definitely crazy. I never thought about that in red. I'm going to have to change my lingo. I'm good for that.
Me too.
Or highlight it in yellow or something like that.
Yes. And you never even think. I'm like, look at me out here violating ADA, infringing.
Right.
I ain't even know.
That's extreme, but I understand.
I'm gonna say underline. Hopefully that's not something. Hopefully that's not something.
But if that person points it out to you and then you continue not to give a fuck,
that is definitely
that. And
but if you don't know, you don't know what you don't know.
100%. And I think that is an important part when we tell you, hey, you're stepping on our rights, you're stepping in our lane, and you're like, no, I'm not. Oh, well, damn.
I just told you are, because these are my rights. This is my way.
And you don't get to do that.
I didn't say I want some of your rights and I want a pinch of your lane. I'm just saying what I have over here is mine, and you're encroaching upon it. Like, fuck out of here.
Yes. We don't want to say colonizer, but we did just come off of Thanksgiving. So I'm just saying.
When did we decide we wasn't going to call a spade a spade? Because these spades are spades.
I'm just saying. I don't know.
I must have missed that meeting.
I be trying to think.
At least they know they came from somewhere in England. I gotta guess. Make up my life story.
I know. Otherwise, you can let somebody swab your cheek, but I ain't doing that because I don't know what you're trying to do with my DNA.
Oh my gosh, y'all sound like, oh my gosh. I said the other day, I just wanted to know where I come from and why they could frame you. Mom. Now I'm scared. Okay.
And you should be.
Yeah,
I'm just going to make up where I'm from.
You don't remember when they cloned those llamas? Were they llamas or sheep when we were younger? You don't remember that?
Yes, you guys.
What happened to them?
I don't know.
Who knows if
maybe they in a garbage pail. It wasn't a real animal anyway. I don't know.
Yes, it was.
It was a real animal.
You don't remember that?
I remember the llama, but I am not going to consider that. Okay. It grew in a petri dish, but it's okay. Fungus grows in petri dishes is okay.
Jennifer,
all right.
No.
We are not going to compare them framing my life and me ending up in jail to a petri dish llama.
Nice knowing.
No, I'm just going to say I'm from a few different things. I'm a mixed bag. Okay, I'm a bunch of jelly beans because clearly I don't know where I'm from.
You'll be fine.
Now y'all got me